Looking all statistics with some prime analytics. We got ourselves a group of funky fresh critics. Home runs, some free throws, goals, fights, and touchdowns. Pocket says it all, so it's best you stick around. Analyzing this, analyzing that. Putting a perspective on every single step. Now turn up your volume and join the team. Things are about to get started, it's 1st and 15.
Hello out there, and welcome to 1st and 15, episode 2 of what we're going to call season 2, even though I don't even know what season this is. But we are here live, Main and Center, Batavia, New York, downtown in the WBTA 100.1 FM, 1490 AM, 106.1 FM in Leroy Studios. And we are here for another episode. Today we'll be previewing the NFC West, as we mentioned in last week's episode, if you tuned into that. If you haven't tuned in yet, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube or follow us on Spotify or whatever you do on SoundCloud. I think it's a follow there as well. And, we plan on weekly episodes either Friday or Thursday. Right now, at least until NFL season, it looks like it's going to be on Friday. It could change around then. We're going to continue doing previewing of all the different divisions for probably the next few weeks here as we, trudge through these summer months where not a whole lot's happening. We're starting to get to the point where things are going to be happening again, but post-draft, we're kind of at a little bit of a lull right now where we're going to talk about each team, preview them while there's not a whole lot going on. But yeah, guys, good afternoon and welcome to the studio.
Well, hello. I'm ready to talk some NFC West. Should be fun.
Did anyone have anything interesting happen this week? Does anyone got like an interesting anecdote for me to start this off?
I mean, I just got Sabres talk, but...
Okay. How about you, Mike? So, Mike, I'll start this out with a little story then. So, me and Mike both cover the Sabres games. We both go to KeyBank Center to cover the Sabres games. So, I went yesterday, that was Wednesday, and covered the game. And I was looking for Mike, and Mike wasn't there. I texted him, and I said, "Are you coming to the game tonight?" And he's like, "No, I got a golf league." And I didn't think anything of it, but like 2 hours afterwards, it just kind of hit me while I was sitting in the press box. I was like, wait a second, it monsooned all day. What does Mike mean he's playing golf today? Did you legitimately play golf yesterday?
Yeah, we did play golf. It happened. It was cold and miserable, but after 1 week, I am in first place, my team is, so that's all that matters.
What were the course conditions?
The course conditions were freezing and miserable, and I don't know if anybody had a really good time other than us being in first place.
What course?
Oh, we were over at Terry Hills.
Okay, that's a proud WBTA sponsor, Terry Hills. So thank you, Terry. Well, Terry does have good good drainage there, so probably wasn't as bad as some other courses would have been. But yeah, I almost sent you a text that just hit me like 2 hours after. I'm like, Mike said he was golfing. It's been raining all day. What's he talking about?
Yeah, I golfed. We canceled last week. Last week was supposed to be the first week. We canceled because of rain. And we were dead set on not canceling this week, and so we didn't.
So they didn't want to go 2 in a row. Okay, I got you there. Well, Mike will be at the Sabres game today when this video comes out, and I won't be because I got beer league softball, and I'll probably be playing in a very wet field as well. So we're all out here doing things. But let's get into the NFC West a little bit. I just had to bring that up. So we're gonna go bottom from top rather. We'll start with the team that finished last place in the NFC West last season. That is the Arizona Cardinals, coming off a 3-win season that saw them struggle in a lot of different ways, shapes, and forms. We already talked pretty in-depth last week about the draft with Jeremiah Love they took in the first round. They ended up getting the quarterback Carson Beck in the third round, which, by the way, guys, does Carson Beck start a game this year? I'd say probably yes.
Well, at the moment, he's kind of their starting quarterback, right?
If Jacoby Brissett continues to hold out, but I mean, I don't see that.
Gardner Minshew. Don't forget about Gardner Minshew.
I would say Gardner Minshew probably starts over Carson Beck week.
So I'm saying no chance.
Yeah, probably no.
This year.
You don't think he starts a game at any point?
I don't see why they would, unless Carson Beck's maybe as old as Gardner Minshew at this point. That guy's not exactly a spring chicken.
Well, none of us think they're going to be particularly great next year.
Well,
I'm thinking that maybe if they're sitting there with 3 wins on the season late in the year, they might just want to see what they have in him before they draft a quarterback in next year's draft.
Well, according to you, they're going to win a lot more than 3. So.
P has the Cardinals as a frisky team.
It's a 6-win team, yes.
The biggest Arizona Cardinals fan in New York State probably is you.
I have a couple of agreeers. I have a couple people that like the Cardinals to win 6 games next year.
I'd like mental health checks on those people. That's what I would like.
But listen, we got to actually break this down, not stray too far from the point here. So I think Mike's out on Carson Beck starting a game. I think he probably will start a game at some point. But that's pretty much like the main 2 players from their draft. I'll be honest, I don't have like a photographic memory. I forget all of the players they drafted last week. Mike, you want to go a little deeper into that if you got something in front of you?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I apologize. But Chase Bezantis, the guard from Texas A&M, They took him. I know he was a guy that I think a lot of Buffalo Bills fans were talking about leading up to the draft as a potential fit at guard. With the departure of David Edwards, I think he probably, without having the Cardinals, projected depth chart in front of me, I would think he has a decent chance to start here as a rookie this year. So that's a good pickup. They drafted the other Caleb Proctor, so they have that going for him. He's a big athlete at defensive tackle out of Southeast Louisiana. Not a whole lot else to speak about. Reggie Virgil, a Texas Tech wide receiver, who spent 3 years at Miami of Ohio. They got him in the 5th round, but not a ton else in the Cardinals draft class I'm not excited about even the upper level guys, but not a lot to be excited about in general.
No.
I don't think anyone's like a huge Carson Beck guy either when you talk about the lone quarterback. Breaking down their free agency moves a little bit, I got some of the bigger ones in front of me as I bring my laptop right here. So the biggest free agent they probably signed was the Steelers guard Isaac Sumalo. They gave him 3 years, $31.5 million, kind of try to shore up their offensive line that had some issues. They have Paris Johnson, who had some injury issues. He's good when healthy. They have that other guard whose name starts with an H. I'm drawing a complete blank on him right now. But they have 2 good offensive linemen. They're trying to shore that up right now with Sumalo. I like that signing for them. I think that will help their offensive line. We talked about it, quite a bit last week. Tyler Algier, they gave him a 2-year deal worth $12.25 million. That was another big signing for them. Algier was kind of I'd say, outside of Kenneth Walker, probably the biggest free agent running back that teams were kind of going after. Tyler Algier, back up to Bijan Robinson the last couple of years. Cardinals made the move to get him and then made the big splash on Jeremiah Love.
I don't know if that's true.
Who else was up there, man?
Travis Etienne was...
Okay, I'll give you Travis Etienne. I forgot about Travis Etienne. I would say Travis Etienne.
He may have been the top guy on the market, honestly, even over Walker.
I don't necessarily disagree that. I like Travis Etienne a lot. I forgot that he's no longer in Jacksonville. I keep forgetting that. But, so Algier, then maybe number 3, unless I'm forgetting someone else. But regardless, the point is that I think he was a pretty well-sought-after backup running back. A lot of teams liked what he did behind Bijan Robinson the last couple of years. Wide receiver room, they kind of bolstered that up a little bit. They signed Kendrick Bourne, who had a good year in San Francisco with all the injuries they had. Kendrick Bourne had some big games last year. I think Kendrick Bourne won me a fantasy game last year. He had like a 150-yard week with 13 catches out of nowhere at one point last year. Then past that, they re-signed kicker Chad Ryland. They re-signed their punter Blake Gillikin. Nothing too flashy down the way here. They did re-sign Bam Knight, so they're just going to have like 80 running backs, I guess. And so that's kind of, and Gardner Minshew too, as Mike alluded to. They gave him a 1-year, $8.25 million deal. So not a huge splashy free agency for the Cardinals, but they shored up their offensive line a little bit and filled out their skill positions.
Based off of what you just said, the not flashy offseason, what makes you think this roster can win more than 3 games from last year?
We're going to get into that a little bit, but right now we're just kind of focusing on what happened with the round. Like, listen, we can go back and forth all night with me why I think they're going to win 6 games.
Well, let's just do it. Listen, there's not a lot to break down. Ron.
No, I mean, there's really not.
Free agency, I mean, they didn't really do much. So let's just dive right in. Why don't you tell us why you feel so good about the Cardinals?
First off, I think they're a 6-win team.
Which is, I would just like to put on the record that would be doubling their win total from last year.
Yes, I think playing a last place schedule, they play teams like the Jets, they play teams like the Raiders, they'll play teams like the Saints, they play teams like the Cowboys that I'm not very high on going into this year. They play enough games that are winnable games where I think they're going to be a good offensive team. I mean, defensively, there's definitely some holes there. I'm not arguing that point. I do like their defensive line. I think that they have a couple of guys in the secondary that could be good future pieces. It's not a great defense, so I'm not trying to argue it's a great defense. Offensively, though, I think that they have skill positions all over the place. I do think Jacoby Brissett's going to play for them. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's like 32. I don't think teams are knocking down his door. I don't think he's the kind of guy that can hold out forever and win that battle, so I do think they'll have Jacoby Brissett. And I just think that offense can generate enough points where they're going to be in some frisky games, and I think they can beat some of the bottom teams in the league they're going to be playing.
Now, here would be my question, though. Did they not have a pretty good offense last year? I don't have the numbers right in front of me, and I'm going to try and find them here. But, I feel like on a points per game basis, the Cardinals were not a bad offensive team last year.
No, they were in a lot of games. They lost a lot of close games last year. If you look at their schedule, that's
right. So
it's not like they got shelled. Those close games, those can look at the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, just to talk about how close games can flip. One year they won 12 one-score games. The next year they won 2 of them, or whatever it was.
I know it well as a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Yeah.
All they play is one-score games. But Worth noting, they did lose Jalen Thompson in free agency.
Yeah.
He was one of their best players on
Absolutely.
defense.
No
Delvin
question
Tomlinson gone. Akeem Davis-Gaither gone. Like, they lost some pieces on an already pretty bad defense.
No, I don't expect the defense to be. So I do think getting Walter Nolan back. I think that I really like Walter Nolan out of the draft. I think that's going to help that defensive line. I do think they'll generate pressure up front on the defense. And the secondary is going to be a problem. I'm not even trying to really argue with that much. The secondary is going to be a problem. They have one good corner. Outside of that, there's not really much to speak of in safeties or secondary.
I mean, Budda Baker.
They got Budda Baker.
Yeah.
If you look at these starting corners,
He's getting old.
Probably. I mean, he's still
my
probably
God,
their
at
best
starting
player.
corner. I just have their projected depth chart up. They're
Yeah.
projected to start Denzel Burke and Garrett Williams
Yeah, it's not great.
as their two corners outside of Will Johnson.
I do like
That's
Will Johnson.
scary. I love Will Johnson,
I do like
but
Will
that
Johnson
is
a lot.
hideous. At linebacker, I mean,
Linebackers aren't good.
Cody Simpson, Mac Wilson, and Zaven Collins. That's what they're gonna roll out at linebacker. This is
That's not great.
this is rough.
A very bad roster.
I do think that
Very bad.
I think they're going to be in some high-scoring games offensively against some of the worst teams. Listen, I already said I don't think they're winning a divisional game, and I thought about maybe they could beat San Francisco if San Francisco. got
And I
beat
would
up
also
again.
know, by the way, not a great kicker. I feel like you need a good kicker if you're going to win some good. Chad Ryland is not
He's
lighting the
an
world on
accurate
fire.
Kicker. He's not a big leg kicker. He plays in a dome. He's whatever. He's whatever as a kicker. I would say I wouldn't really consider him
Mediocre
a bad
kicker.
Yeah, he's middle of the pack kicker. So listen, as I said last week, I just think they're going to be able to score points. I think they'll be a fun team to watch. I do think that watching Arizona Cardinal games will be electric for games out there. I think you're going to see a lot of points in Arizona Cardinals.
That the over.
Yes, 100%.
I'll let you watch Arizona Cardinals games. I will not be.
I mean, I'll probably watch some Cardinals games just for fantasy football purposes. I'll probably have a good share of Michael Wilson this year. I liked what he did last year, but man, that's going to be a bad defense.
That's only red zone.
Especially if you think they're going to give up a lot of points, you might want Arizona Cardinals on your fantasy team next year.
Yeah, I love Cardinals in fantasy.
Because they're going to be, I'm telling you, I think you're going to see some. Jeremiah Love is good. I know we can question whether we think he was worth it at number 3 overall, but he is good. He is going to be good, regardless of your opinion on Jeremiah Love being taken too high. Marv, listen, where you guys got a Maserati Marv? We haven't really talked about that much. Are you out on him, or are you in on Mike? Give me your Maserati Marv take. I still believe in him.
I'm not out necessarily, but I think Michael Wilson's number 1 receiver on this roster.
Yeah,
I mean,
going
if I'm
into
being completely
going
honest.
into the season, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's their guy at this point. I think if the Cardinals could flip Marvin Harrison for a 27 first-round pick, I think they'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't think they can, but I think they would love to.
I don't think they should either. I
absolutely would.
I think it was very obvious Kyler Murray and him were just never ever on the same page, and it's like, okay, well, going into next year, if it's Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew or Carson Beck, whoever is throwing him the football, might also not be the best tell of what he is as a wide receiver. But I mean, at 23 years old and how much skill and potential he had coming out.
And I mean, this is a guy that was the most touted receiver prospect that I think he was even more touted than Jamar Chase. He was the most touted receiver prospect. You might disagree with that take, and that's fine. But
in my personal
your personal opinion,
rankings of them as prospects, I definitely had Jamar Chase right
you
now.
wouldn't disagree that he was absolutely
No, he was
ridiculously
definitely
touted.
highly touted. I mean, part of the issue is how they have chosen to use him since he's gotten there offensively. They don't give him a lot of easy looks necessarily, like a lot of number 1 receivers across the NFL get, but he also just hasn't shown the ability to win down the field in a consistent way, the way Michael Wilson, quite frankly, did last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take, if I was the Cardinals and someone called right now and said, hey, we got a first-round pick in this loaded 2027 draft class and we just want Marvin Harrison, I wouldn't hesitate for a second, because are you going to pay him? I mean, fifth-year option decision's coming up. It's going to be a big option on him for where he was drafted. Are they really going to re-sign Marvin Harrison to a big receiver money deal?
Well, me and you have the Cardinals as top 5 pick going into next year, likely, and they're going to take a quarterback. Marvin Harrison is at the very minimum a good option for that quarterback if you want to kind of develop him and give him options. But
if you get a quarterback in that situation, you have Michael Wilson, you have Maserati Marv, you have
Trey McBride, who is the number 1 option.
Jeremiah Love, who, regardless of your opinion on him, he's a good running back. I mean, that quarterback's walking into a good situation, even if the defense.
I would almost be concerned about getting baited into giving Marvin Harrison a good contract when you draft a quarterback and he's in his contract year, and then he lights the world on fire, and then you give him a big deal, and then he goes back to the guy he was the first 3 years of his career. That would concern me, honestly.
I do agree with you. I'm not I'm not like going into today. I'm not like, oh yeah, Marvin Harrison's the guy. He's got, but I think it's still too early. And how dysfunctional the Cardinals have been, I think it's just.
Are they getting more functional? Exactly.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Mike LaFleur.
It'll be interesting to see nonetheless, but I'm glad we kind of that's something that I feel like in all these Cardinals conversations we have, I just felt like we had completely kind of overlooked our opinions on Maserati Marv.
Yeah, I'm very much in on Michael Wilson.
You know what? I don't like that nickname. I hate that nickname.
It's a pretty terrible nickname.
He doesn't deserve it anymore. What has he done? It's a college nickname.
I don't even love that nickname. I just love Gus Johnson. I just love that Gus Johnson was always.
Gus Johnson's got his hits. Hollywood Brown. I mean, the guy changed his name to Hollywood. Sometimes it hits. Maserati Marv. I don't know.
Yeah, not a Maserati.
Respect Gus Johnson.
Marv guy.
But if he doesn't frickin' get it going this year, he might be Moped Marv. if he can't get it going this year in Arizona. But we'll have to see what comes of that. So I feel like we've kind of broken down. I have said why I think they could win 6 games. So tell me, I mean, besides the defense, where do you really, what do you project this team to look like? Like, what are you expecting some scores of these games to be? Like, what's your projection for their season, kind of just what's going to look like?
Really high scoring shit shows. I mean, it's probably the best way to put it. Like, there's going to be no defense being played by the Cardinals, but they're going to be really tough to stop, assuming that they can protect whoever is throwing the football on this team next year, whether it's Brissett or Minshew or, God forbid, Carson Beck or maybe the Keaton Slovis. Who knows who they toss out there if things really go awry. And, I like the skill guys. Like we said, I like Michael Wilson. I love Trey McBride. I think he's the best tight end in pro football. Jeremiah Love is a good player despite the fact that you should never take a running back in the first round ever. So the offense should be pretty good. The defense is going to be a travesty in ways that I don't even know how I can express it. Like, probably the worst defense in football.
Yeah, who else would be up there for worst defense in football?
I don't know that anyone else is even close to as bad as they are.
Tennessee's is pretty rough. Like, who's Tennessee got? I mean, they have Jeffrey Simmons up front, but outside of him, I'm not thinking of many guys on that Tennessee defense.
I mean,
I agree with your general sentiment. That's going to be.
They got Jermaine Johnson in Tennessee now. The back seven in Tennessee is going to be a problem, similar to Arizona. Yes. The back seven is going to be an issue. But I would take Tennessee's front four over Arizona's. John Franklin Myers, Jeffrey Simmons, Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, you
they took Cedric Falk in the first round, so they got some guys up front that I trust more than Arizona's guys.
Either way, I do agree with your general sentiment, though. It's probably a bottom 5 defense for sure.
Bottom 3. If they're not in the bottom 3, some teams had some rough years.
I can concede that point. Bottom 3.
I mean, there's dudes gonna be playing big reps that probably may never start football games again in the NFL after this year.
No, absolutely. I don't disagree with that.
We also, though, keep talking about this offense being high scoring, potentially at least. Mike LaFleur, first time head coach. Is this his second time calling plays in his career?
First time play caller, I believe, as well.
Because I think he was the offensive coordinator for the Jets, but I just don't know if he called plays that year.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, so first time play caller. I'm assuming he's play calling. So I mean, the book's still out on him if he's even capable of running a good offense. I know he's coming from his brother's Matt LaFleur, play caller for the head coach and play caller for the Packers, coming from the Sean McVay tree, but truly, what is that? It's
tough not to trust A, that coaching tree, and B, he would have to call really bad offense for this thing. Because, we laughed, Jacoby Brissett, he's a guy, but, they threw the ball well last year with Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Their issue was they couldn't run the ball worth anything. Well, they signed 19 running backs. If they can't run the ball now, there's really something wrong.
No, they did shore up that line. That's something I don't want to brush over either. I really do think they improved up front a little bit. And not significantly, but I don't think the offense will be the issue. I think we're all on the same page there. Listen, if Mike LaFleur isn't great, that's to be determined, but I'm not going out there right now and saying I think that he's going to be the problem.
I also just don't even think the offense is going to be anything good. I don't care about it. It's just 20th ranked offense. That's what I'm projecting.
See, I think they'll be much better. I think top half of the league.
Yeah,
I just think they're going to be historically bad defensively.
I think they'll be somewhere between 10 and 15 in offenses in the NFL. I think that, number one, they're going to be playing behind a lot. I don't disagree with that. They're going to give up points, and I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Jeremiah Love can break off some big runs, and he's a really good receiving back. I think they'll put up yards.
Yeah, I mean, they averaged almost 21 points per game last year. and they legitimately couldn't run the ball at all. I mean, they averaged under 100 yards a game rushing. They were the second worst rushing offense in the league, only ahead of the stellar offense of the Las Vegas Raiders, who, quite frankly, feel one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in my life last year. So
absolutely.
You know, if they can just run it a little better, it's
one thing I'd like to point out too is this year, whoever the quarterback is, like last year, there was obviously a lot of quarterback issues with Kyler Murray. Started the year as a quarterback, that fell apart. If it's Jacoby Brissett, whoever it is, I think it's going to be Jacoby Brissett going into the year. Whoever it is will go into the year as the quarterback and should like be more prepared than last year, where Jacoby Brissett was just kind of thrown into the fire.
I mean, okay, I don't know. Like let's just put it in a hypothetical scenario. Jacoby Brissett holds out and they trade him. They move on from him. And now it's Gardner Minshew's show or Carson Beck. Do you guys still think that this Cardinals offense has the potential for top half of the league?
Yeah. Gardner Minshew's done it before. I mean, he had a really good year in Jacksonville that year.
Did you watch him with the Raiders?
No, but the Raiders, listen, that's the Raiders.
Should we go back to the fact that the Raiders fielded one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in my life in the last couple of years?
Yes.
He was the quarterback of a really bad Jaguars team, but that was a fun Jaguars offense to watch. I feel like they scored a lot of points that year. He was their quarterback. I just remember that I think they won one game. It was a really bad Jaguars team.
I would lower the ceiling a little bit.
Yes, I agree with that.
I still think they're probably right around the top half of the league offensively. Like they were pretty close to being like they were like probably around 20th last year with no ability to run the football. They did not run they were rolling Bam Knight and Amari DiMarcado and Mike Rose off the street to run the ball. Like it was terrible.
Yeah, that Christopher T. Geising.
Yeah, I don't know. In that division, and let's just say it is not in this hypothetical scenario. Jacoby Brissett throwing the football, and it is Gardner Minshew. Listen, running the ball can get you only so far. I'm just not top half of the league. I'm not sold on that. And then defense, like you were talking about,
historically bad.
Yeah, the defense is just going to be very, very bad. Injuries happen in the NFL. We actually talk about it with the 49ers. That's a big hot topic. You want to, which actually speaking of that, because it's slightly still on topic with this. Can you guess the team that had the number one injuries and missed games from injuries last year?
I mean, my guess would be the 49ers.
My guess is the 49ers too, but I know you're going to hit us with a trick question.
The Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals. So
that doesn't surprise me. They did get pretty banged up last year.
Injuries happen, and if it happens to them again, a season that just happened, leading the league in injuries, this roster has just got no depth, especially defensively, and it's just going to be
I do think
tough.
Offensively there's depth there.
I think we all agree they're going to be last place, right?
Yes.
In the division, yeah.
In the division, for sure.
There's depth at running back.
Yeah.
There is depth at running back.
I don't think the receiver depth. Having Kendrick Bourne as your third guy isn't terrible.
Yeah,
Whatever.
the problem is like after those top three, it's a good top three. After those top three, it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it turns into.
But teams though, when you get back to like their fourth receiver though,
I don't know about. They're
75% of the league.
We're looking at guys. This is their number twos listed behind their top three. Xavier Weaver.
Don't know.
Reggie Virgil, which is the rookie I mentioned earlier, and then Devin Duvernay.
Oh, Devin Duvernay.
Who's a straight up return specialist.
Yeah, that is his job.
Capable of catching passes. He's
He's
an all-pro return man. He's not an all-pro receiver.
Was he a first-round pick, Devin Duvernay?
No. Third?
I think he was a third round.
Third or fourth.
I remember if Baltimore took him fairly high, and I had like high expectations for him coming out, and he just didn't really amount to much.
Xavier Weaver, I'll be completely transparent. I have no idea who this person is.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to see a look at him probably at some point this year. But, all right, I feel like we've kind of beat the Cardinals horse to death here. Does anyone else have any Cardinals opinions, takes before we transition off the Arizona Cardinals here?
Second overall pick.
First overall pick.
All right, I'm sticking with like somewhere between 6 and 8. We are going to transition away from the Arizona Cardinals, though. We're going to take a quick timeout here on 1st and 15. I was going to say don't turn that dial, but this isn't on the radio, so don't skip this YouTube video. We will see you in probably like 30 seconds.
It's 1st and 15.
If you care to cover, we cover with care. Sterling tents and awnings for quality service and integrity. Sterling tents and awnings. No event is too big or small. For over 100 years we do it all. If you care to cover, we cover with care. Sterling Tents and Awnings.
And welcome back to First and 15 here on the WBTA Sports Network. Pete Zehler alongside the Batavia Daily News sports editor Mike Rose and our NFL analyst here, Tylor Klien. As we're getting into the NFC West today, we just talked about the team we all think will finish last in the division, the Arizona Cardinals. Now we're going to get into the team that finished third last year, the San Francisco 49ers, which they had a really weird year last year. They made the playoffs despite being absolutely beaten and battered down the stretch. This is a team, though, let's start by talking about their offseason moves. Let's start by talking about the NFL draft for the San Francisco 49ers. And, excuse me while I pull my laptop over this way. But DeJean Stribling, we talked about that quite a bit last week, how we all thought that was a terrible pick. I think we unanimously said that was a terrible pick. Looking at that, they got an edge rusher out of Texas Tech, Romello Height. I actually am a little familiar with him. I watched some Texas Techs. They were pretty good last year. I think he could be a solid player on that defensive front where they've had injury issues in the past. They picked up Kalen Black to kind of shore up their running back depth. They got Grayson Holton out of Oklahoma, defensive tackle there, and as you go deeper, they had quite a few fourth-round picks. They got some secondary help. They got some offensive line help later in the draft. But this is a team that didn't have a ton of draft picks, and they had a lot of holes. And I'll send it over to you, Mike, because this is a team that last season injured a lot. We can talk about that for hours, how injured they were. And just feels like this is a team that just gets a lot older every year.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with that, and we kind of touched on it last week, is they're like one of the worst drafting teams in the NFL over the last 5 years. So they're adding zero youth that's contributing in a meaningful way over recent years for the most part. And I think they did a pretty bad job again in this year's draft, if I'm being honest. And the sad thing is, like, most of these guys are probably going to play because we all know you go to San Francisco, if you're a backup, you better be ready to play because everybody's injured almost immediately. It was funny, we were talking off air, and I pulled up their depth chart, and like half the team is listed as questionable, and we're sitting here in early May. The whole team is already still injured from last year or something else that's happened in this offseason. So, I mean, that's pretty much the story of this team in recent years is just the injuries. It's just a matter of can they stay healthy. I don't think anybody questions the talent on this roster. If you go up and down, position by position, they're as good as anybody in the NFL. The problem is they're incredibly banged up year after year after year.
And it's not just it's like important names. Like last year, Nick Bosa losing Fred Warner, losing George Kittle at the end of the last year. Christian McCaffrey is always banged up and it seems like he's just week to week or whatever.
He somehow didn't miss any games last year.
Yeah, it's true.
It seems like it's every other year with him. I think he's due this year, unfortunately.
Well, the bad news is they gave him 1 million touches last year because they were so injured. They're just like, all right, Christian, you can just be the whole offense. And not really a good recipe to give a guy his age with his injury history like 400 touches like they did last year.
Well, let's go this way with the conversation. As well as the play I was planning on going, but I kind of want to go here. I feel like they're an older roster, right? I mean, Trent Williams is getting older, Christian McCaffrey's getting older. George Kittle, I wouldn't call him old, but he's definitely not a spring chicken anymore. This is a team where most of their important players, I mean, they've been on this team since that 2019 Super Bowl run. It's 2026 now. They're certainly not a team that's getting any younger, and I kind of feel like they're at the end of their window, per se, to win a Super Bowl, this group of players. And it feels like they're getting to a point now where I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl this year. I think they're getting to the point where they're going to have to push that reset button and do a complete roster rebuild, and it's going to be a messy situation for a bit.
They're actually, on defense, not that old. Nick Bosa is only 28 years old, and Fred Warner is, I think, right in that area, maybe even younger.
I think he's about 30. I could be mistaken.
He is 29.
Okay.
So that's really actually not that bad on defense. Offensively, though, like Trent Williams and George Kittle, like you mentioned, and Christian McCaffrey, yeah, definitely.
And no receivers really show.
Running back, though, an old aging running back, you get.
They did bring in Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Got to remember Mike Evans is there. Now the issue is he's also old.
Offensively, yes.
Also not getting
Defensively,
younger.
not so much. But yeah.
I do trust the people in charge in San Francisco to keep the team competitive, but I do think that they're running into an issue here pretty soon where they're just spending too much money and these players are all getting old. And I mean, even like Fred Warner, he's 29. He's not that old, but he's still definitely not a spring chicken by any means. And I just think that this is a team that maybe not this year, but the year after possibly, we're going to see them bottom out. and they're going to need to do what the Rams did whenever they bottomed out there for a couple years and get a bunch of draft picks and really try to rebuild through the draft, which Mike has alluded to many times. They're not very good at drafting right now.
Yeah, the key is the Rams are maybe the best team in the NFL at finding value in the NFL draft. I mean, they've
in the later rounds for
starters
sure.
out of
Yeah.
late rounds year after year after year. They rebuilt that defense on pure draft picks, really. I mean, and not just first-round picks. They have guys like Jared Verse, up front that they drafted in the first round, but they rebuilt that defense with later-round picks that have come in and done a great job. San Francisco, I mean, they just have drafted bums the last couple
hey,
years.
Mikael Williams. I mean,
who I'm not really high on, but he's there.
He's there. He's 21 years old, but again, got injured last year, so.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about their free agent moves. I just wanted to go into that because I've kind of my take on them a little bit. But free agent moves, Mike alluded to the big one. They got Mike Evans, which I do like that. I think Mike Evans still has some juice in the tank there. They signed him to I believe, 3-year deal worth $60.4 million, which that's kind of rich for 32-year-old Mike Evans, but they got him signed for 3 years. They brought Dre Greenlaw back after spending a year in Denver. They got him on a 1-year, $7.5 million deal. And obviously, Dre Greenlaw was phenomenal in the 49ers defense before. We'll have to see how the return trip home goes. They got Nate Hobbs, the cornerback out of Green Bay. I'm familiar with the name, but I'd be lying if I said I knew a ton about him as a player.
Former Raider. He's pretty much a nickel guy, nickel-only guy.
I think he's just kind of a guy. I don't think it's like a big sign.
The Packers signed him for a lot of money last year, but it did not go well. Yes, they cut him.
Yeah,
he was a cap casualty.
But I don't hate Nate Hobbs. I think he was wildly overpaid.
Yes,
for the Packers,
absolutely. There's a reason why the Raiders.
He's a fine player. I think he can play on the outside for San Francisco when inevitably guys get injured.
I think it's good depth to have. They did re-sign Jake Tongas, who was pretty solid last year when George Kittle got injured.
They're going to need him.
They're going to need him because George Kittle might miss the start of the year. We were talking about that off year a little bit. They brought in Luke Gifford. They re-signed him. And also, they did sign Christian Kirk to a 1-year deal worth $6 million. So, they're trying to have receiver depth.
Former highest paid receiver in pro football.
As it stands right now, Brandon Ayuk is a member of the San Francisco 49ers. Will he be playing there week one? Probably not. But if he does, if they figure it out, that is quite the wide receiver room. Ricky Pearsall, if he can, stay on the field.
Christian Kirk hasn't been good in about 3.5 years.
But it's similar with Kendrick Bourne when you guys were talking about Kendrick Bourne, being fine where he is.
Kendrick Bourne.
Christian Kirk's kind of in that same area
last year that kind of topped Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk had 239 yards last year.
Yeah, I think Kendrick Bourne did that about one game. Last year.
like Christian Kirk has about 600 yards and 2 touchdowns the last 2 years. It's been tough sledding for the last couple years with Christian Kirk.
Tyler's a fine depth piece. If he's my fourth wide receiver, I'm not upset.
Especially in a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah, but he's going to be their third. Well, he's their third to start behind 2 guys who both missed a lot of games last year.
Yeah,
behind Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall. So,
and we were.
How close are we to Christian Kirk being San Francisco's number 1 wide receiver?
We were shitting on the Stripling draft pick. Clay Kubiak was talking about him today, talking about speed when you get guys with speed, which is essentially why they drafted him because they don't have any other speed in that room. It's just easy yards, is what he said. But other than that Christian Kirk probably is their third wide receiver. Yeah.
I don't know if I like the top end talent of that room. You talk about that'd be a great room. To be honest with you, though, Ricky Pearsall, 32-year-old Mike Evans, and Christian Kirk, I don't know if that's a top 10 receiver room in the NFL.
Well, it's definitely not.
I don't think I have them up there. I probably top half of the league, I'd say. That's borderline, but I'm not in love with that receiver room. I'll say personally, I think that it leaves a lot to be desired. And I listen, if Brandon Ayuk did play, he hasn't played in 2 years. What really would he look like at this point? He's been out there just flipping off the stadium for 2 years. It's just hard to say what he would look like at this point. I think they need some help at that position for sure.
I don't know. I think
run at
I'm not sure. I don't know if I agree with that. Again, I think Kyle Shanahan has proven year after year after year that it just.
Where would you have him ranked? Where would you put that receiver?
I think it's kind of I think it's just a Shanahan McVay thing where it just doesn't matter who your wide receivers are. They're just going to get you the ball and you're just going to get yards. Their whole thing is blocking downfield. Mike Evans is unbelievable at that. Ricky Pearsall is committed to that. That's their whole thing is just easy yards. And I don't necessarily know if it matters. I think Mike Evans is just a really reliable red zone guy that Brock Purdy's just going to be able to get touchdowns to, especially if, George Kittle's missing the beginning of the year. And I don't know. I don't think it necessarily like if the talent compared to like I don't know the Rams, I guess I don't think it matters as much in a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Mike, you got any take on that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's done great at maximizing. I think at some point it becomes a question of, like, how long can you ask Kyle Shanahan to maximize a roster of not very good players, which is my biggest critique of where John Lynch is doing with his job currently. And
but the wide receiver room is not like the spot where it's like, man, this is not top end. I mean, Mike Evans is still Mike Evans. Let's be honest with you. Ricky Pierce, but that's the thing. That's definitely the thing, though, is the injuries. And if Ricky Pearsall can stay on the field, he is a reliable player for sure.
So we talked about injuries a little bit. There's a topic we have to get into. We talked about a lot off air. And that is the electric facility next to it. What's the
electrical substation?
The electrical substation next to the facility. There's been reports on this on ESPN. I've read articles. There's been multiple articles about this. There's an electrical substation right next to where the 49ers train. And there's some theories that this has led to injuries on the team, that their high rate of injuries is correlated with this electrical substation. And now I think Mike Rose has a passionate take about this, and I think I might agree. I'm going to send it over to you, Mike.
I'm 100% in belief that this is a real thing. I've never been more in on a conspiracy theory. I mean, you look at the guys who are getting injured, and like even the players were talking about it at the end of the year. Like there was clips of players on the 49ers talking about this, like in the locker room at the end of the season, and it's hard not to look at all of these kind of soft tissue injuries that these guys keep suffering in San Francisco, and wonder if there is something to it. And we're gonna see how injured they are again this year. But if we're watching DeZon Stribling and Demarcus Robinson as the top two wide receivers in Week 6, because Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall are on the sidelines dealing with injuries, it's gonna come up again.
Everyone talks about the Giants' MetLife Stadium with the turf being the number one thing with those soft tissue injuries, and now the 49ers, like Mike said, that keeps happening to them as well. But I will say this. John Lynch, they did some research. They brought in an independent scientist, and the quote here from John Lynch is exactly, said, "We did hire an independent scientist. He basically said it was a nothing burger. We're safe."
Yeah, I did see that.
So
you want me to believe John Lynch? He
a
thinks
scientist
he's the smartest guy in America.
Yeah. A scientist. He hired a scientist.
Well, it was John Lynch's scientist, so I
True.
don't buy it.
True.
I'm out on John Lynch's anything.
You don't think he's got the ability of hiring a good independent scientist?
No, he doesn't have the ability to. Here's the thing. John Lynch, you look at how he drafts, he decides that he's smarter. So what John Lynch probably did, he pulled up the best list of the best independent scientists, and then he just picked whoever he decided was the best, who's probably not even on the list.
I would really like to see John Lynch being the general manager of a team that doesn't have Kyle Shanahan as his head coach.
Well, you wouldn't have to see it for very long. You probably wouldn't make it past 2 years.
Was this his first GMing job? Was he somewhere before?
No, this was his first.
He was broadcast.
Okay,
hire.
He was the safety in Denver back in the day, right? John Lynch, I think.
He's Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Luckily for him, he hired Kyle Shanahan. That's about the only thing he's done right.
Yeah, remember the
well, I don't even think he hired Kyle Shanahan. I think it was like that duo thing where it's like they were hired at the same time.
Well,
maybe
John
not.
Lynch should just be fired. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So just to read about this theory a little bit go. So the theory is that the low frequency waves from Silicon Valley power substations adjacent to Levi Stadium are degrading players' collagen and causing soft tissue issues. And to back that, there's 19 players that missed 254 games last season. And the team after that is now investing $9 million more than they did last season into improved rehab and recovery. So, it's kind of funny. I mean, I get that a scientist come in, John Lynch said it's nothing burger, but at the same time, they're spending
the scientist said it was nothing burger.
They're spending $9 million to try to prevent more injuries from happening. So
he's a liar.
Yeah, there could be something to that. All right. Well, I think that's probably enough of the conspiracy theory for a minute. Let's talk about projections for this team this year. I think this is a hard team to project because what do you get? Do you get the fully healthy 49ers? Probably not. But if you do, it could be a 12-win team if they're fully healthy. There's no question about it. If they stay fully healthy, absolutely they could win 12 games. Or does Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Nick Bosa all get injured week 1, and like you said, we end up having Stripling as wide receiver 1 out there, and next thing you know, they're maybe
He can't run a single route.
They win 6 games. I mean, it's really hard to predict them. So it's your guys' takes.
I mean, they lost a lot of impact players last year. Christian McCaffrey is the guy that they did not lose that really kind of carried them, at least offensively, obviously. And if they do lose him early this year and for a long period of time, it could cause trouble because their running back room just has got nothing. Like, again, I keep talking about Kyle Shanahan and how great of a coach he is, but again, Mike also said it. How many times can you keep relying on Kyle Shanahan to fix things? So, but like my point is you saw big injuries, them lose key guys last year and still have a really productive and really good season. So I want to say, like, well, if they have injuries, I still trust them to make the playoffs. But if they lose Brock Purdy or, Christian McCaffrey, I know Mac Jones did a solid job last year, but that's when I think things get in trouble is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's just impossible to not project injuries with this team. So,
I agree, yeah.
And like Tyler mentioned it, like after Christian McCaffrey, Jordan James, Kalen Beck, and Isaac Guerendo. I've seen Kyle Shanahan work wonder with some real bad running backs, but that's a brutal trio if that's who they got to roll out in place of Christian McCaffrey. And, McCaffrey has injury concerns. Evans has injury concerns. Pearsall has injury concerns. Christian Kirk, we keep talking like Christian Kirk's good. He's missed a ton of games the last few years. George Kittle's probably not going to be there to start the year. So we're talking about every starting skill player projected on this roster has an injury issue that we're talking about.
And, even if they are healthy, we did kind of touch on, too, this is an aging team. Even if they are healthy,
they're old.
There could be some natural regression from some of these guys just anyways.
Now, we do got to keep in mind it's May. So they could add to that running back room, but
they better. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But really, like, who's out there? Like, who like, are you making a trade? Like, who?
Listen, Jordan James and Kalen Black and Guerendo coming off an injury.
Look it up, Mike. Tell me who's the top free agent running back.
Well,
right now.
Mike said it on last week's episode. The 49ers should keep trading these draft picks instead of using them.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, hey, listen, if they need to upgrade the running back room via trade, they should absolutely do it.
I'll be honest, the more we've talked about the 49ers, I feel like the more I've talked myself out of liking the 49ers
really
right now. I think that maybe they're like an 8-win team this year. And I just think that they play in such a tough division. They play in the tougher of the two conferences. And I just think combined with aging and the injuries, I think I'm with Mike. I don't see how they don't get injured. They always get injured.
I mean,
I think
it's not great at free agent running back, by the way.
I think that maybe Kyle Shanahan's great, but I think that maybe this is an 8 to 9 win team if I calculate everything together.
So these free agent running backs, I mean, Joe Mixon, who I think is basically retired at this point.
Yeah, he's coming off a bad injury.
Najee Harris, who's coming off torn Achilles and is 28. Austin Eckler, who's coming off, I think, also a torn Achilles and is 30.
The dumpster to me right now.
Antonio Gibson, Nick Chubb, Darren Goombawale.
Oh my God.
Kyle Shanahan can work with Antonio Gibson.
Hunt.
Feels like
Kareem Hunt. You could do worse than Kareem Hunt. He was good short yardage last year.
Antonio Gibson feels like a Kyle Shanahan guy.
Antonio Gibson is a bad football player.
It's probably better than Jordan James.
He's like one of the weirdest players I've ever seen. The guy was a college wide receiver, and he can't catch passes in the NFL. It makes no sense. He's awful.
He is bad.
How did he play college wide receiver? It's beyond me. I mean, Miles Sanders is out there. He wasn't terrible.
You're describing. I have not liked anyone that
Jeremy McNichols.
You've described a lot of guys.
Alexander Madison, who's like one of the worst players I've ever seen.
They're like my third running back. I wouldn't hate it, but that's this entire list you just gave me. I wouldn't like it as anything more than that. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
So
I'll be honest. Is Elijah Mitchell available? He's a former.
Yeah. I will say they have Isaac Guerendo on the roster. I do like Isaac Guerendo. He was a rookie too. He was an old rookie. He was like a 25-year-old rookie when they got him. He's probably 27 now. He's kind of a home run hitting running back. He has a lot of speed. I think he has some fumble issues, and that's why he hasn't gotten a lot of touches in this offense. It seems like Kyle Shanahan doesn't really trust him and never really gave him the ball a whole lot. But they let him start one game when Christian McCaffrey got injured. I think he rushed for 100 yards, although I think 90 of those yards came on one run. But I do think he is an interesting backup running back. You wouldn't want him to be your starting running back. But I do concede the point that I do think they're in rough shape.
I mean, he managed to play 14 games last year and get 0 carries. So
yeah, that's
clearly they're pretty out on him.
Well, so what's your projection for the year, Mike? I'm going to go with somewhere 8 to 9 wins is my projection. I think if you just calculate everything together, that's where I'm at. What about you?
I mean, I have him out of the playoffs, and I had him out of the playoffs last year, and I was proven wrong, and maybe Shanahan pulls it off again. But it's just tough to have a great belief that these guys are all going to manage to stay healthy, and some of these, you mentioned the older players. What is it going to look like? I mean, Dre Greenlaw coming back, great. He was awesome 5 years ago in San Francisco. How good is he now after dealing with some injuries over the last several years? So I definitely have some questions, and I think secondary, when you look at it, is kind of relatively unproven. I mean, Diamador Lenore, I like, as an outside corner. I know Renardo Green had a good year. I know there's a lot of San Francisco fans that feel pretty highly about what he was able to do last year. He's only 25 years old, but it's not a super tested secondary, so to speak. So I think there could be a lot of potholes potentially along the way for San Francisco, and I think it's just tough to look at the way the NFC stacks up with how many good teams there are, particularly in their own division, where there's the defending Super Bowl champions, and I mean, maybe the betting favorites for the Super Bowl right now, the Rams might be, depending on where you look.
They also do have a tough schedule. They play the AFC West, they play the NFC East, and they obviously are in a tough division. So
what's your projection on the year for the 49ers, Tyler?
I mean, Pete knows I'm a very pro Kyle Shanahan guy. I will always back Kyle Shanahan, and I mean, again, I know this is a beating a dead horse at this point. Injuries. You know what? I'm going to make a prediction. They're going to stay healthy this year.
Oh no.
They're going to stay healthy this year, and they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to win 11 games.
You don't even believe that. There's zero chance you believe that. I want everybody to look
12
into his
games.
eyes right now as he says that. He has no belief in what he's
13
saying.
games.
Yeah, he has no belief in what he's saying. By
They're winning the division.
So in conclusion, I'm at 8 to 9 games. I think Mike's somewhere in that ballpark.
I mean, realistically, I do think that they will make the playoffs and be around where they are every year, and that's like the 12-win mark.
I just think that it's too. I'm with Mike. I think it's too tough of a conference.
So we're gonna get to them, obviously. Mm-hmm. Are you projecting 3 NFC West playoffs?
I mean, it happened last year. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think I'm with Mike. I don't think they make the play. I'm not saying, obviously, I'm saying they're an 8-9 win team. I think they're competitive. I think Kyle Shanahan.
I think it could be a lot worse than that. I think it could get ugly this year.
What with the 49ers injuries?
I think if a couple injuries stack up, the talent's not what it. In years past they had deeper rosters. I just don't think this is a very deep 49ers
It's definitely
team.
not a deep roster. No, I agree.
And if a couple injuries stack up, I mean, this could be a 6-win team this year.
But that's the thing, though.
Might dig the Arizona Cardinals out of the basement.
Well, no, we're definitely not going to dig the Arizona Cardinals out of the basement. I don't care. If
it's
the
not a
Niners
deep
lose.
roster, but there's a lot of
I don't care
talent.
if the substation literally electrocutes the entire team and they all drop and can't play for half the year. If Curtis Rourke is starting at quarterback, they'll probably still win more games than the freaking Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a deep roster, but the talent that they have at the top is really, really good. They have really good coaching. Raheem Morris, I believe, is their defensive coordinator again. Or not again, but he is a defensive coordinator again. So I trust this team.
Best fullback in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is absolutely facts. Kyle Juszczyk, he's the man. All right, I think that kind of wraps up our 49ers topic there. I think me and Mike are a little off from this year. Tyler still has the faith in Kyle Shanahan. We will see how that transpires over the season here. We're going to take a quick timeout on 1st and 15. Don't go anywhere, though, because we're going to come back with a team that was very interesting last year. Maybe you could argue the best team in the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams. We'll be back to talk about them in a moment.
Join the team. Things are about to get started. It's 1st and 15.
And welcome back to 1st and 15 here on the WBTA Sports Network. Pete Zehler alongside Mike Rose from the Batavia Daily News and Tylor Klien, our NFL analyst here. So Cardinals done, 49ers done, LA Rams are up next. And so to first start talking about this team, the other teams we started with the draft, this team I want to start with the free agency just because it's going to be really easy to do because they did pretty much absolutely nothing up to this point. They got Jalen Watson. That was their
Which is it's big. It's a big.
That's absolutely a big move. I'm not trying to underplay it, but that's pretty much all they did.
Yep.
They re-signed Cam Curl, which that's a good re-signing, but that's nothing new. They re-signed Tyler Higbee. They re-signed their long snapper. And if I'm talking about their long snapper already, that tells you about what they did in free agency.
Joe Cardona, he's been around a long time.
They did not do a whole lot in the offseason. Once again, that is a big signing, Jalen Watson. I would say Their secondary, especially corners, was probably a weaker spot on that roster.
It was their weakest spot.
So to get a guy like Jalen Watson in there, that's absolutely a good move. Not to hate on that, but certainly a team that didn't do a whole lot in free agency, but they didn't have a lot of money to do anything with. So
I mean, their big free agent signing was Trent McDuffie. Like, let's be honest about how this went.
Yep.
They basically just took the Chiefs' corners and made them their corners.
That's exactly what they did.
Honestly, the Chiefs had really good corners, so that's probably a good move. And, they let basically all of their corners whose contracts were up walk away. Killa Witherspoon and Jacoby Durant and Darian Kendrick, who were all pretty average to bad last year for them. So, I mean, they definitely upgraded the cornerback room pretty significantly with what they did.
Which was their weakest.
With the trade, and it was probably the weakest spot on the roster. So, I mean, you got to give them kudos for that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with that fully. So that's really all they did in free agency. I mean, obviously, things can still happen. There's not many big names out there at this point. So diving into the draft a little bit for this team, we talked quite a bit last week about their first-round pick in Ty Simpson. Obviously, I don't think any of us are big on the Ty Simpson pick. I don't think any of us are big Ty Simpson guys, although I think we all agree that's probably the best possible situation Ty Simpson could have got drafted into. I mean, is there a better one, you think, Mike?
Minnesota's not a bad spot. And I mean, maybe I'm being biased there, but like that's a good landing spot for a quarterback. I don't know. I feel like there's places out there that
How would you like if you went to Minnesota?
I would have been furious. I would have been so upset.
The Rams, I'd say, is the best spot only because you're playing behind the MVP, and he's probably done in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't know, and we talked about last week, I don't even know if you're getting Sean McVay.
No, I agree. I know.
I just don't know.
I did say that last week.
Matt Stafford's going to retire. At that point, Devontae Adams is going to be either retiring or going somewhere else to try and win a Super Bowl. He's not. Devontae Adams not sticking around to play with Ty Simpson.
At that point, I doubt he's around.
So, what are you going to have? You're going to have Puka Nacua? They don't have much.
Maybe.
We'll talk about the roster. You're going to hopefully have Puka Nacua if he doesn't lose his mind and go all Antonio Brown on it. So, I don't know. It's not a bad landing spot, but, we could be talking about a really different-looking Rams team by the time Ty Simpson ever is in consideration to be taking a step.
And again, we did this last week, and I don't know, we're doing it again this week because this is the conference we're talking about, or the division, that we're talking about. But, John Lynch, bad drafting, Les Snead, good drafting. Yeah. So, if there's a guy that you can trust to grab talent over these next couple of years, it's him. But, it's again, you talked, Pete, you talked about the lack of free agency and not necessarily doing anything, although they did two very important moves in those two corners. It's why, to me, the Ty Simpson pick's even that much more frustrating with what was available there offensively to add. And I keep saying it, Kenyon Sadiq, I just feel would have been perfect for this offense.
Especially since
he's so versatile.
50 tight ends.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly.
That kind of transitions a little bit too. So instead of taking Kenyon Sadiq there, they wait till the second round, got Max Clare out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
Who, wasn't one of the top draft prospects at tight end. He was probably around number 4 or 5, I'd say, in the tight end list for the draft. But he, we'll have to see what he can do. He was solid at Ohio State. I don't hate that pick in the second round because they need, after, they're going to have Tyler Higbee, who we talked about, Terrence Ferguson, and Colby Parkinson. It's a pretty packed tight end room, but Max Clare, I think he'll definitely be behind Tyler Higbee. I think he could compete with Terrence Ferguson and Colby Parkinson.
I think he probably slots in as their number 4 this year. Yeah. I think the biggest thing for them is they're so solidified in their usage of tight ends that I think it makes sense with Colby Parkinson, a free agent after this season, Davis Allen, who's probably not going to make the roster now given the addition of Max Clare, but he's also a free agent after this season. He played a role last year. So I think that's largely, again, I think the first 2 picks the Rams make are projected as more guys for the future, which is, again, like Tyler said, I think the word is frustrating. It's got to be frustrating given how close this team was, how talented they currently are. I mean, it's been a kind of a negative conversation we've had on the Rams so far. With all that said, this could be the best team in the NFL.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now,
so let's finish up their draft before we get too much into that, because there's not much more to get through. So,
you basically did already.
In the third round, they took Keegan Trost out of Missouri, an offensive tackle. Next year, 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen enter the last year of their contract. So this is kind of another future pick. In the third round, they took a tackle. They're hoping that when they don't re-sign some of those guys, he can fill in a slot. And then in the 6th round, they took C.J. Daniels out of the University of Miami, and that's a receiver. And in round 7, they took Tim Keenan III, a defensive tackle out of Alabama. Obviously, the 6th and 7th round picks if they work out good. But you don't really
CJ Daniels might have to play this year, given their wide receiver depth, honestly.
He definitely could see some play. He was decent at Miami. He caught 50 passes for 500+ yards.
He's not a bad player. He's basically going to compete for wide receiver 3, right? He's going against Jordan Whittington and Keontae Mumpfield, who's now been mentioned on 2 consecutive episodes of the show.
We were probably the first show to ever mention Keontae Mumpfield in 2 consecutive episodes of their show.
Yeah, I mean,
we're at 1,000.
Keontae Mumpfield should send us a thank you card. Most PR he's ever gotten. Xavier Smith, there's not a lot of really great wide receivers after the top 2 superstars that they have there. So, CJ Daniels gonna have a chance to compete for a spot and some playing time.
So that's everything we did in the draft. So now we can transition into that conversation a little bit about projections for this team. And, like Mike said, we all are kind of crapping on their draft and their free agency and whatnot. However, this is a team that I think we all agree is going to be playing deep into the NFC playoffs. They could be the best team in the NFL next year. This is a really good roster. Defensively, they've drafted so good the last few years. They just built this young, monstrous defense. And they, as we mentioned, they really shored up their 1 weak spot in the secondary by getting 2 new corners adding to that.
Yeah, which I want to make this very clear. I am not crapping on their offseason just because of those corner moves. You said crapping on their offseason. I'm not doing that.
I get what you're saying.
Their draft sucks.
Their draft, their
suck.
first round draft.
Yeah,
the Ty Simpson pick I'm crapping
I
on.
think we all agree with the moves.
But everything else, they've been fine. Yeah.
The moves to get the corners were good moves. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. But offensively, they have Matt Stafford coming off an MVP year coming back. Obviously, Puka Nacua is great. Devontae Adams is great. We just talked about they're going to have an embarrassment of riches at tight end. Their offensive line is pretty damn good, too. This is a team that could be the best team in the NFL. And they're set up right now with this, probably I'd say a 2-ish year window this year and next year to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you're a person who is a gambler, if you go on FanDuel right now here in New York State, your Super Bowl favorites are the LA Rams. So, I mean, there's clearly a lot of belief in what this roster can be this year. Stafford, as good as he's ever looked last year, I think you could say, winning his first MVP.
Looked healthy, which was big for him.
Looked healthy, which was, we were a little skeptical about that coming into the year, I think, but looked healthy. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, a really good 1-2 punch out of the backfield. All the tight ends, the 2 wide receivers. The defense is young. It's talented. Braden Fisk in the middle, Jared Verse off the edge. They got 2 great corners now. They got a good nickel corner. Well, McDuffie's probably going to play a lot of nickel corner too.
Yeah.
Quentin Lake is another good corner on that roster. He was kind of the only one worth anything last year.
I mean, Quentin Lake's kind of versatile. He can play safety, he can play nickel.
He can move around a little bit. Cam Curl, who Pete just mentioned, I like him. Cam Kitchens. Back there at safety, I like as well. They got a lot of guys who can play. Is a really talented roster.
Again, Les Snead getting guys in drafts and talent.
I mean, he just had the worst draft he's ever had. I feel like this year. I just can't believe that they didn't add more impact guys in this draft. And I know we talked last week a lot about it wasn't a good draft, but you would think in a not good draft, I would just want to draft the most ready to be productive players, ready to contribute players that you can, instead of trying to hit home runs with these long-term projects that they decided to go with. But nonetheless, this is a team that, as long as Matt Stafford's healthy, they're going to be as good as anybody in pro football.
This is really more of a fantasy thing, but you talked about the 1-2 punch with Blake Corum and Williams. They're expected a 50-50 split this year, which is interesting.
Yeah, because historically it's been more, towards the end of last year, it did start to become a little bit more of a split. We kind of went into the year expecting it to be Kyron Williams 80%, Blake Corum 20%. But later in the year, as a disgruntled Kyron Williams fantasy owner, he definitely did start to lose some touches to Blake Corum. So that really doesn't surprise me too much there.
I'll never believe Sean McVay when he says the 50-50 split, though. Sean McVay loves having a workhorse running back.
He does, and
he loves it.
Now, could it be transitioning with Blake Corum? Could it be?
I don't know.
If Blake Corum's your starter, I wouldn't be surprised.
They just extended Williams, though. That's why I would have such a hard time believing that. But I mean, whatever.
You got to go with the best guy, though, if you're a Super Bowl team. Listen, I'm a Notre Dame guy. I love Kyron Williams. He's been great for several years now. But running backs don't necessarily age well the best in the NFL. That was tough there. But he certainly is getting older. He's been that workhorse back for I think 3 or 4 years now. And I mean, Blake Corum's just kind of been chilling. He's just been chilling in the background, staying healthy. He was great at Michigan, obviously. I could see Blake Corum becoming the feature back in that offense.
It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't project it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I think, when it's all said and done, whoever is the guy in that backfield, I don't think it's going to be that close to 50-50. No. Even if Sean McVay comes out and says, we're going to split the backfield 50-50, that'd be the second person today that I'm going to call a liar. Him and John Lynch, both liars. I don't believe you because he just historically has never done that.
Do we have any Jarquez Hunter believers in the room? I remember last year a lot of people really liked him out of the draft. Not a lot really came of him last year, but he's still on that roster. I saw him in so many sleeper draft picks last year where people were like, yeah, this is a guy that give it 2 years and he's going to be starting in LA. Do we have any Hunter believers out there?
I drafted him in about 5 fantasy leagues last year.
Okay.
It didn't go very well for me.
No,
Dynasty fantasy football leagues, but yeah, I think there's probably no chance he actually plays any meaningful snaps this year unless both those guys get hurt. I mean, he's better than Ronnie Rivers, but on most game days, Ronnie Rivers is a better special teams player, so he's probably going to be the guy that gets a jersey. And Hunter's probably going to be a healthy and active most weeks. Now, if Gorham or Kyron were to go down, I would believe that Hunter probably has a path to being the guy who gets the secondary carries of the tandem there, so to speak.
Okay. So we could see more of an expanded role from, but like Tyler said, they just signed Kyron Williams to a deal. So that road has to involve injury, I would say, for him to really be getting much playing time this year. So projecting the Rams a little bit, let's get into our Rams predictions here. For me, I think this is the 13-ish win team this year, somewhere in that ballpark, 12, 13 wins, which I think will be near the top of a very competitive NFC. And I don't think they're my pick to win the NFC, but I think they absolutely could. If they win the NFC, if they win the Super Bowl, I will not be surprised at all. Today, I'm not going to pick them to win the NFC. I do think, though, that they're going to be playing probably deep into the playoffs, maybe the NFC Championship game. And once again, if they do win the NFC title, that wouldn't stun me.
Yeah, no, I've liked the Rams a lot the last 2 years, which is impossible not to. I mean, they've been so good. I mean, me and Mike were talking about it off air 2 years ago, which I thought was maybe the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, but it wasn't. It was the Commanders. Should have easily won that game. And we saw what the Eagles did to the Commanders in the NFC Championship game that year. They probably could have went to the Super Bowl. Could have went to the Super Bowl last year. There's nothing stopping this team going to the Super Bowl again this year. And the only real weak spot on the roster is maybe the wide receiver depth, which I looked it up because I was curious. Because again, we are in May, and we got to remind. Which I was just about to say this. We got some breaking news live on air.
Oh.
Juwan Jennings is signed with the Vikings. Mike, congratulations.
Oh, Mike Rose. Instant reaction to that, Mike
They
Rose.
needed that desperately because, man, the number 3 receiver spot on that roster was awful.
Yeah.
So and I don't trust Jordan Addison to not do something really stupid.
Well, I was going to bring it up because they have $25.9 million cap space according to over the cap. The Rams. So I was going to bring up Juwan Jennings, which is very odd that he had just signed as the guy maybe they sign as the summer continues, but never mind, he's gone. So
I like that. That's a really good 3 receivers: Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and now Juwan Jennings. That's getting off topic though. We had to mention that that news broke live.
Yep.
Shout out Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
Huge pickup.
That is a big pickup. But Mike, for you, your projection on the LA Rams this season?
Definitely a double-digit win team. They are my pick to win the NFC West. I will go ahead and say that.
Me too.
I do not have them as my Super Bowl pick for next year. We're going to save that for when we get to the team that I'm picking to win the Super Bowl.
The Raiders, really? Wow.
It's not going to come today, so you're going to have to tune in for a later episode to get my Super Bowl pick. Not picking the Seahawks. But I do think this team is in a great position to make a deep postseason run. It wouldn't surprise me if they're the NFC Super Bowl representative, and I think the offense is loaded. The defense is loaded. Les Snead's done a great job outside of this year's draft of assembling talent. I'm just going to take every chance I can to dig at this draft. It was so bad. But the only way the Rams are not ending the year as a playoff team is if Ty Simpson has to put down the clipboard and end up playing football games.
Yeah, I would say they're a Matt Stafford injury away from not being a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, if Matt Stafford goes down, Ty Simpson starting games, this team's absolutely cooked.
Which again, I mean, this applies to every team, but we talked about it with the 49ers. They lose Chris McCaffrey or Brock Purdy, how bad that is to them.
More realistic for them.
Matthew Stafford going down is very bad.
Significant here too, just because of his age.
Yep.
Some of the injury concerns from previous years, and also how little I think of their backup quarterback.
Yeah, no, Matthew Stafford. Them losing Matthew Stafford. We're talking about Mike said it, the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl to a team that probably might not make the playoffs. Matthew Stafford goes.
What if Ty Simpson wasn't the guy that came in?
What if it's Stetson Bennett? My belief level is still incredibly low because
who would you rather see go in?
Stetson Bennett.
I disagree.
I'd rather see Stetson Bennett. Absolutely. Winner. At least he's a winner.
It's not a good.
Ty Simpson's not even a winner. He's not talented and he's not a winner.
I'd say he's a winner.
What does he have going for him?
like millions of dollars after going 13.
Yeah, but we're talking about like, you know, a guy who's starting games. Like, I'll take Stetson Bennett. That's fine. I'll ride that.
Stetson Bennett. I agree.
Not going well.
National. Two-time national championship. Stetson Bennett. What is Ty Simpson?
Ty Simpson's a winner.
Yeah.
He
What
won
is?
like 10 years.
Yeah. What did Ty?
No, he did beat Florida State. That's right.
I was saying he was a winner in terms of life, going 13th in the draft.
Me and Pete have actually argued about this off
week.
air plenty of times. He never likes to give Stetson Bennett credit for what he did in college. Ever.
I don't
He never
think
gives
Stetson
him.
Bennett was a good college quarterback.
No, but he
won
was.
two national championships.
Exactly.
I don't think Ty Simpson was a good college quarterback. Stetson Bennett started multiple years of college. Ty Simpson only started 15 games.
I think those years of Georgia, you could have probably taken like 50 other quarterbacks in America and had them start for the Georgia Bulldogs, and they win the national championship. That's always been my argument. I just think Stetson Bennett was just a guy, and he was just there, and he
And what is Ty Simpson? Is he not just a guy?
I don't like Ty Simpson either. I'm not sitting here trying to argue.
All right.
Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
You know, what if they start Matthew Caldwell? What if he wins the backup job?
Matthew Caldwell? Who's what? I don't even know anything about Matthew Caldwell.
He's a rookie out of Texas, undrafted.
Out of Texas? Man, he must have been like the third string.
I've never heard of him. He's on the depth chart.
I've never heard of him either, and yeah, that's.
I think my shtick is just going to be naming really obscure players.
I like this. Yeah, we got to keep track of him though.
There's not gonna be much
we gotta follow
with
Matthew. We gotta follow his career.
His career is going to be selling car insurance, I would think, within the next few years.
I got to look this up right now because the Texas. I mean, obviously Arch Manning was the starting quarterback last year, and I don't think Matthew Caldwell. No, he was the backup last year. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Where was he before? Like, was he always at Texas?
Yeah, he must have been like. Yeah, I guess we don't.
So he was behind Quinn Ewers before that.
Hold up, I'm looking it up right now, man.
He made it to the NFL. He's winning at life.
Yeah, he is winning at life. Not as much as Ty Simpson, but he's winning at life. He went to 4 different colleges. He started at Jacksonville State, then he went to Gardner-Webb for 2 years, then he went to Troy, and then he ended his career at Texas as Arch Manning.
Did he start at any of these teams?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
7 career college starts.
Wow.
And he was 3-4 in those games. His college stats, 56.5% completion percentage, 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
So more of a reason, by the way.
I got different numbers for Matthew Caldwell.
More of a reason, by the way, why Matthew Stafford.
I got him as a 64% completion guy. I feel like you buried this guy.
I got his FCS career. That's what I
okay.
That was his Gardner-Webb stats.
So at Troy, he threw 223 passes, completed 63%, and he was 8 of 11 at Texas for a touchdown.
Wow.
Okay.
But yeah, again, more of a reason why Matthew Stafford cannot get injured for this team.
9, last season, he threw a 10-yard game-winning touchdown to Emmett Mosley in overtime against Mississippi State.
Unbelievable talent.
I think if Matthew Stafford goes down...
He did more last year than Ty Simpson.
I think Matthew Caldwell could be the heir apparent. Like, looking at this guy.
He's also 6'4".
6 foot.
He's got the size. Yep.
13 pounds. Fairly mobile. His college stats would tell you, listen, he rushed for 42 carries for 126 yards and 4 touchdowns in the FCS. In the FBS, 50 carries for 111 yards, 5 touchdowns. Mobile enough.
Yeah.
What was the Cardinals quarterback that started last year that was just like no one ever heard of? He was just obscure name.
I know who you're talking about. Mike's going to have it in the first in a second. Obviously not Jacoby Brissett. When Jacoby Brissett went down.
Well, basically what I'm getting at here is, again, if Matthew Stafford does get hurt, maybe we're looking at a similar Cardinals situation from last year, but just with Matthew Caldwell that no one's ever heard of. We're just getting on top of it now.
All right. This is just, we're really in the weeds right now here. But I'm going to give you guys each one guess. Can anyone guess Gardner-Webb's mascot?
Gardner-Webb?
Gardner-Webb.
Cardinals.
I have no idea.
What do you say?
It's like a
Cardinals.
spider-looking thing, isn't it?
No.
No, I'm thinking of Richmond, the Richmond Spiders.
Yeah,
I have
the
no
Richmond
idea what
Spiders.
Gardner-Webb is.
They're the running Bulldogs.
Wow.
You know, I feel like I've looked that up at some point in my life. Don't ask why, but
They're the running Bulldogs. Okay, we're in the weeds right now.
I have no idea who this Cardinals quarterback was, by the way. I'm working on it, but I really genuinely have no idea.
We've gone off the deep end here with what we're doing right now. We got to find out that Cardinals player, though, before we end the segment, because it's just going to bother me if we don't know.
Yeah, I'm working on it here.
Yeah, we're all trying to. So, obviously, it started the year with Kyler Murray.
Are we just talking about Keaton Slovis?
No, maybe it might have not been the Cardinals. Maybe it was a different team. I'm just misremembering.
I'm looking at every Cardinal threw a pass last year.
No. I don't know. Oh, maybe it was the Vikings, actually. I think I'm thinking of the Vikings.
Brosmer.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the
Brosmer,
Vikings. Yes.
okay.
Max Brosmer was a Minnesota legend.
Yeah.
I want you to put some respect in it.
Yeah.
Max Brosmer won multiple games last year.
So
Let's
he's
just
got
throw that
more
out.
of a name than Matthew.
Win game starting for Minnesota?
Yes, he did. He was played at the end of the year when they closed the year on a winning
Yeah.
I
streak.
remember it was horrendous. I remember it was just not good, but
Yeah,
good enough to win.
he made 2 starts. He won one of them. He completed 66% of the passes and
Yeah.
4 interceptions and no touchdowns.
My point was
He
is
did a
Matthew
job.
Caldwell could be last year's
Yeah.
Brosmer.
To wrap up this point, Matthew Caldwell could be the next Max Brosmer. I don't know if he would have the success, though.
Max Brosmer started his senior year in college. He was not a bad college player.
Yeah.
He was a much better college player than
Matthew Caldwell. Yeah. All right.
Just for the record, Max Brosmer in his college career. Let me just pull up the stats here in a moment. He played at Minnesota his senior year. He threw for almost 3,000 yards and 18 touchdowns. And
Legend. Minnesota legend.
67% of his passes.
Yep.
In his full collegiate career, I believe he had over 11,000 passing yards. So this is not Matthew Caldwell.
All right. All right.
Yeah, no, so Matthew Caldwell could be a beast, but probably not on the level of Max
Matthew
Brosmer.
Caldwell's never been mentioned this many times anywhere ever. So end the segment. We're done with the Rams.
That'll wrap up the Rams. We're going to come back with the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsors.
On every single step. Now turn up your volume and join the team. Things are about to get started. It's 1st and 15.
When you walk into a home in Batavia, there's a good chance a piece of Max Pies furniture is part of that history. For over a century, they've been there, helping families furnish first apartments, first homes, and everything after that. Not a website, not a warehouse across the country, right here, local, family-owned. And right now, more than ever, local matters. If you've ever thought about stopping in, this is your moment. Max Pies Furniture, still here, still family, still Batavia, still where our customers send their friends.
Welcome back to 1st and 15 here on the WBTA Sports Network. Pete Zehler alongside the Batavia Daily News' Mike Rose and our NFL analyst here at WBTA, Tylor Klien. We're 3 teams deep in the NFC West. Time for team number 4, the team that won the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks. By the way, no revisionist takes here. Did any of you guys think the Seahawks had any chance of winning the Super Bowl going into last season?
Obviously not. I think their odds was the lowest odds to win, to start the year, then end up winning the Super Bowl ever. So I don't think anybody did.
I had a hot take that they would be a playoff team, and some people really disagreed with me on that, but I never thought they'd win the Super Bowl.
I think I faded the Seahawks at every turn last year after a guy who was scorned by Sam Darnold the previous year. I bet the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. I lost a lot of money betting against these guys last year. So, I definitely did not. They made the Super Bowl, and I didn't believe they could win the Super Bowl. So
I would say they were certainly one of the more surprising Super Bowl teams in a long time, maybe since that first Chiefs run that they went on when they kind of came out of nowhere. But certainly a very interesting year. They came out of nowhere. That defense, though, is just freaking filthy. There's no questioning that could arguably be the best defense in the NFL. Was last year, won them a Super Bowl. So let's talk first about their draft. So the first pick, we could probably go into this for a minute. We went into it on the draft show a little bit. They took Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame, with the last pick of the first round. We were kind of all over the board on it. I think consensus, we agree there was probably better players they could take there. I know Mike was the most adamantly against it, though. So, Mike, if you want to go a little Jadarian Price for a minute.
just don't draft running backs in the first round. But also, they drafted a running back in the first round who basically is never been asked to be a workhorse running back at any point because he backed up the guy who got drafted 3rd. So I think it was just kind of an interesting pick. It kind of screams of a team who sat around and said, we don't have a lot of holes, so we can kind of just afford to take a luxury pick. And I think if you look at the history of teams doing that, it's not a very good one. Ask the Chiefs how they felt about Clyde Edwards-Helaire after they took him with the 32nd overall pick because they sat around as the defending Super Bowl champions and thought, wow, our team is so good, we don't need to add another impact player. Let's just take a position of need that's a really low net return position in the draft. And so that's what the Seahawks opted to do after losing Kenneth Walker. Is Jadarian Price going to be a good player? Who knows? Was it a good value to take him with the 32nd pick in the NFL draft? Absolutely not.
No, I'm a Jadarian Price guy.
You're a Notre Dame guy.
I will say he was a really good punt returner for us, and I know they already have Rashid Shaheed. I think that they I think their special teams could be elite. I think you could see if you have those two guys back there receiving kicks and punts, that's going to be electric, and I could see them getting some points off that this season. And I do think Jadarian Price is just a home run hitting running back.
As good as he is as a return man, though, he's the second best return man on the Seattle Seahawks.
That's a good
so,
point.
of all the teams to be like, we like Jadarian Price's special teams upside, this is not the place.
Wow, sirens going off in Batavia, New York right now. That's a common occurrence here. But that's a sheriff.
Going in opposite directions, by the way.
That's a sheriff. Wow.
There was one going one way and one going the other.
As the news guy at WBTA, I'm going to have something to talk about tomorrow. That's good. Well, hopefully that's good. Anyways, but we got a little off topic there. Jadarian Price, though, I do think he complements Zach Charbonnet really well. I think he's the perfect running back to put next to Zach Charbonnet. And we found out they also picked up Emmanuel Wilson, so I will say they got some depth at running back now if you're the Seahawks. And for a team that really they don't have many holes, I guess you could say maybe linebacker they could afford to get a little bit better. Maybe up front on the offensive line they could use some depth, but I don't necessarily hate the pick. I definitely agree that I think there are other guys to take there, but certainly...
To me, as good as their roster is, that's the easiest, best player available spot you could have ever walked into if you're Seattle, or just trade back and then take the best player available. Because there's legitimately no holes on this roster. I mean, they're either good to great to elite at every spot on the depth chart.
Their offensive and defensive line are just... are so good.
Yes,
I mean, they're unbelievable. So it's just one of those things where it's like, why are we drafting for need? You don't have any needs. Just take the best guy on the board and make your loaded roster better instead
Could
of
you make the argument at that point?
No,
that Jadarian Price
no, absolutely not. And I knew what you were going to ask before you could finish it. There's no chance in hell you could make that argument.
No.
I don't hate Jadarian Price. I think
You're
Yeah,
a
we
Notre
know
Dame
this.
guy. We got it.
Yeah,
you
we
love
get it.
Notre Dame.
so. If
Go Irish.
If Jadarian Price has a 1,200-yard season this year, are you still hating that pick by the Seahawks?
I said it last week. I think they should have taken Caden McDonald from Ohio State. That
He could
tackle.
break the NFL rushing record this year, and I would hate the pick.
That's just insane.
No, it's not. It's the truth.
So moving down their draft board a little bit, it looks like they have a lot of trades. All their picks are lined up where they should have been. So I think they just had their picks this year. They took Bud Clark out of TCU, a safety, a guy that I'm not going to lie about and act like I know a ton about him.
I like Bud Clark.
I will say that their secondary was very good, obviously, but I don't think they had a ton of safety depth. So Bud Clark's a guy that will probably see some playing time for them out of the second round, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I like Bud Clark. He's versatile. He's got some corner skills as a safety, explosive athlete. He made some play. He started for, I feel like, maybe 4 years at TCU. Honestly, I believe he was on the team that made that run to the national championship a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
As a starter, so he's a good player. I think he slots into an already loaded secondary as a guy who can just kind of soak up some knowledge from a lot of those guys. I think he brings in a pretty similar-ish skill set to Nick Amanaware. I hope I said it right.
Yeah.
But who did some safety and some nickel for them last year and kind of was all over the field as their Swiss Army knife. I think he does a lot of similar things.
Moving down, they took Julian Neal in the third round out of Arkansas. They did lose Tariq Woolen in the offseason. That's worth noting. He was their third corner. So
And Kobe Bryant.
Julian Neal kind of looks like he could be that prime candidate to take over the third corner spot. So that was kind of, I'd say, a need pick there. But certainly, secondary is a place that gets injured a lot. You can use a lot of guys in the secondary on your team. In the third round, I don't hate taking a guy you like in him. And the rest of the draft, they took Bo Stevens, a guard out of Iowa, in the fifth round. In the sixth round, they took Emmanuel Henderson Jr. out of Kansas, a receiver. I actually he was a guy that I kind of was hoping the Bills would grab late in the draft. He was a very fast receiver. I think he could see, I'm not saying he's going to play a lot, but I could see him gain some snaps in some offensive situations for Seattle. I think he'll make the roster. I guess I'll say that at minimum. They took Andre Fuller, a cornerback out of Toledo, in the seventh round. And they also took Devin Eastern, a defensive tackle out of Minnesota, in the seventh round. I guess they had a ton of seventh round picks because they also took Michael Dansby, a corner out of Arizona, in the seventh round. So they took a lot of secondary players in this draft, and this was a good draft for, we talked about it wasn't a great draft. It was a good secondary draft, and it seems like their theory here was we're just going to load up on some guys late and hope they make the roster.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler mentioned it. They lost Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant, so they did have some holes in the secondary that they're going to need to fill in terms of depth. I think they have the guys with, Devon Witherspoon, Josh Jobe, who they re-signed, Emmanuel, They brought in Noah Igbenogany in free agency, bringing in Bud Clark. And, I think they have the guys to kind of fill in with some of these spots, but you're going to need some new depth kind of behind them. So I think it doesn't hurt to throw a few darts and see if maybe you land one to make the roster and be a contributor.
Kind of feels like they just filled their plate, and these guys are going to battle in training camp in the offseason, and they'll just end up with the best third through fifth corners they can end up with here, which I don't hate. I think for them that's probably a good move given the state of their team currently.
Yeah.
So other offseason moves they made. Wasn't a lot of moves they made. They did a lot of re-signing of guys. So Mike already mentioned Josh Jobe. They did sign Rashid Shaheed to a 3-year, $51 million deal, which I love because Rashid Shaheed, the second they got him, he made a difference on that team in that Super Bowl run. There's no question about it. Emmanuel Wilson, I mentioned they brought him in. He was he the backup to Josh Jacobs in Green Bay, would we say?
Yeah, he definitely was.
So they brought him in, which he's going to be running back 3, I would assume, right?
Yeah, you would think it would be Charbonnet.
Yeah, when everyone's healthy.
Who's coming back from the injury, obviously,
Yeah.
as well. And then
When everyone's
Price.
healthy, yeah.
So that's a good RB3 to have. Emmanuel Wilson. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. They re-signed Josh Jones, the tackle, and then once again we're getting the long snappers now. They bring back Chris Stoll. This is a team which Mike Rose set off the year too. They do have 2 fullbacks on the roster, so
why not?
They just have guys all over the place. So yeah, this is a team very similar to LA. Not necessarily made a ton of moves in the offseason, but I do feel like the moves they made were good moves that shored up any minor weaknesses they might have had on the roster.
I mean, John Snyder, again, with the whole, Les Snead thing, he's done a very, very good job of drafting and adding talent throughout this roster. I think the biggest thing when we talk about the Seahawks is just what this offense is going to look like with Clint Kubiak now leaving and being a head coach, because I believe they hired a guy that the name is escaping me, but he's from the 49ers, again, another Shanahan kind of maybe coaching tree, but I think he's the first-time play caller, and I have a little bit of a take. I still don't believe in Sam Darnold, and I know he won a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl.
Do?
I know he won a Super Bowl, but I don't think it was necessarily anything.
You're late for that take.
Well, I mean, he won the Super Bowl, but his running back carried that offense in the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl MVP. Nobody in this world is going to argue that the team's strength was their defense, and that's in my opinion, it's what got them there.
He was phenomenal in the NFC Championship game, though. You can't deny
Clint
that.
Kubiak.
He did go blow for blow.
I'm really, really curious to see what this year looks like with Clint Kubiak on. He had Kevin O'Connell the year before, and when he had a really good year with the Vikings, those are 2 elite play callers. I just want to see what this season looks like for him. And, we'll continue this, but, if you're going to, have me pick where I think they're going to finish, I think it's 3rd in the division. And
Division?
yes, I think the 49ers and the Rams are 2 better teams.
You're taking the
I know.
crippling Niners over here.
I am. But I did say that I think the 49ers will stay healthy, so.
I'd like to live in your world of delusion where Sam Darnold's not a proven commodity and the Niners are going to stay healthy. That's
just
a fun little world you got over there.
What did I say wrong? Kevin O'Connell and Clint Kubiak are 2 elite play callers.
I think it's fair at this point to say that Sam Darnold's figured it out. I mean, I think it's hard to. I get what you're saying. He had Kubiak and he had O'Connell, and before that he had Shanahan. And at some point, you play under so many good guys, you just figure out how to play the position. But it's not like Sam Darnold is Brock Purdy, who was drafted with the last pick of the draft. The guy was a top 10 NFL draft pick. I think everybody in this room thought Sam Darnold was a pretty good quarterback prospect coming out in the draft. I know he was my number 2 quarterback in that draft behind Baker Mayfield. So, you're going to have a tough sell for me to have me believe that Sam Darnold, after the couple of years he's had, is going to turn into a pumpkin now because he's got a guy you'd never heard of.
Again, with how elite the NFC is and in terms of how many teams there are, great teams there are, I just don't know if I trust Sam Darnold to lead this team.
Let's just say this. What if Sam Darnold sucks? This defense is still unbelievable.
No, and that's why I think they'll make the playoffs.
I was about to go. My thing, too, with the Seahawks is I don't think Sam Darnold needs to be great. If he's the 15th best quarterback in the NFL, I think the Seahawks
They're fine.
I didn't say they would not make the playoffs. I said they would make the playoffs. But, again, and this is also a team.
I think Sam Darnold could throw more interceptions than touchdowns.
This is also a team, though, that leaned. There's also a team, though, that lean very heavily on the run, and we cannot just underestimate losing the Super Bowl MVP in Kenneth Walker.
I don't think. Can I? Just
Zach Charbonnet is hurt to start the year, so we got a rookie running back. I get that they have a really good offensive line.
Kenneth Walker made all of his money off that Super Bowl.
He definitely did.
Look at Kenneth Walker in his totality in his time in Seattle. He was not that good. He was like a middle of the league running back for his entire time.
Going into next year, who would you rather have if you're the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker or Price?
What if I say Zach Charbonnet?
Well, I agree, but he's hurt right now. So
I'll take Zach Charbonnet over both.
I like Zach Charbonnet a lot. He's my guy in Dynasty. And
Kenneth Walker, like Mike said, Kenneth Walker really did make all his money off that Super Bowl in the regular season. He was a good running back.
Fine.
I'm not saying that, but he was like maybe like the 12th best running back in the NFL, somewhere in that range.
That's being generous, I think. Honestly,
so he's I think Jadarian Price is absolutely capable of being somewhere around the middle of the pack NFL running back.
I mean, it was he had 1,027 yards last year. Like he has 2,000-yard seasons in his career. Like this guy's not some unbelievable talent.
This team has so much depth too, which is why if they do get injuries, like they have depth all over the place. Like every position, they have guys ready to play.
Yeah. Say whatever you want about this offense. This is probably the best defense in the NFL.
I mean, we can go.
The Arizona Cardinals would be starting the third stringers on this.
I know.
Defense. They would.
I mean, we can go to the Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl before the Seahawks, and look how great their defense is and was, and look at the step back that they took offensively and how it affected their team. I truly believe that, listen, repeating the Super Bowl is not easy unless you're Patrick Mahomes.
Do we not think that the Eagles? Like the Seahawks lost Kenneth Walker. That's a run. You're going to sell me on
and their play call. Well, and their play. I think Clint Kubiak. Like we cannot underestimate how important he was. Like JSN last year, what he did was really, really, really good. Obviously, Offensive Player of the Year. Again, now what is his entire offense look like? Like Rashid Shaheed, Shaheed
was good in New Orleans.
But under Clint Kubiak. In 2023, in 2024,
again for the first half of 2025, or it was
I want to see what this offense looks like.
I get play callers have a very big impact on.
Mike McDonald's a really important.
Let's be honest. Like good football players don't just suddenly become bad football players. Jackson Smith-Njigba's not going to forget how to get open at wide receiver.
I don't think the system just completely disappears now either. It's not like Clint Kubiak's gone and they're like, all right, we're going to just completely reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, they're not running the full house. I mean, they're going to run a similar scheme. We can tell that by the fact of what they did this offseason. They have the two running backs again. They got the same kind of group of wide receivers. Like it's going to be a very similar looking scheme.
The Eagles though, you want to go right to the Eagles. They ran a similar scheme, and
the Eagles. Those issues. But let's talk about the Eagles. If you want to talk about the Eagles, they lost Jason Kelce, massive loss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jalen Hurts was much worse the year that they won the Super Bowl than Sam Darnold was last year.
Yeah, but they're also two different style quarterbacks. But yeah,
they also have A.J. Brown being a diva, and they also had Saquon Barkley, who was inevitably going to take a step back last year because he had way too many carries.
That's my point though with this Seahawks
okay,
team.
So they got rid of the running back.
They don't
have to take a step back. Running back. They're fine.
That's my point though with this. Like unless you're Patrick Mahomes winning the Super Bowl in back-to-back years and going to the Super Bowl.
I don't think anybody in this room was picking.
I
actually picked the Rams to win the division already.
So the Rams. I like the Rams to win the division.
If the Seattle Seahawks are holding the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the year, I'm not going to be surprised.
But I again, elite quarterback play. I don't think you're going to get out of. Get it from Sam Darnold.
Did you get elite quarterback play last year?
No. But again, that's my point, though. I think Clint Kubiak was that impactful of running a scheme and running an offense last year, and losing Kenneth Walker and leaning on a rookie running back to start the beginning of the year is gonna be tough for them.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think losing Kenneth Walker does absolutely anything. I honestly think Jadarian Price can soak up every ounce of his production.
And they do have a really good offensive line.
Their offensive line is elite.
Yes.
The biggest problem with Sam Darnold, really his entire career, is he's bad under pressure. Well, guess what? He was never pressured last year because they got the best offensive line maybe in football.
And he was in the Super Bowl. It just didn't matter because they were so dominant defensively.
Yeah, I mean, this defense, we haven't even talked about Dante Fowler coming in, I think, this week.
Yeah.
They added him to this defense that is loaded. Leonard Williams, Jeremy, Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence, now Dante Fowler. I mean, that front is going to be getting after opposing quarterbacks.
Secondary too. I mean,
we already talked about the secondary. They got Ernest Jones out at linebacker. Uchenna Nwosu is a good player for them since he's come in. Like they got guys on that
Yeah.
defense.
Listen, the NFC West is going to be good. That's it's kind of
See, I
part
don't think
part
that's
why.
true. I just think Seattle and the Rams are going to be good. You're over here telling me how great Kyle Shanahan is, the Messiah
Yep.
over here.
I mean, what? I mean, every single year they're
We'll
always.
see how good he is when Kalen Black is running the ball and Mac Jones is spinning it. We'll have a conversation.
There's nothing Kyle
Throwing it
Shanahan
to
hasn't
DeMarcus
done.
Robinson and
to-
DeJean Stribling.
There's nothing Kyle Shanahan hasn't done in the regular season to trust him to get you back to the playoffs.
I mean, it's not like the 49ers, every year that they've been injured, he just puts together this masterclass and they make the playoffs. They've missed the playoffs.
Again, and that's injury related. A lot of it, especially when you go back to the last time they
and they're
missed the
going to be
playoffs.
injured again. That's
But,
life as a 49er.
I know. And I made the prediction that they're going to be healthy this year.
Yes,
but the
and-
last two times,
and
they haven't.
I
made,
would like whatever you're taking down.
the
there
last
to
two
have
times the
delusional-
49ers haven't made the playoffs is because of quarterback injury. And again, if Mac Jones is there, and Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy. I trust this. I trust that team.
We're making bold predictions. 0% chance Christian McCaffrey
I
plays
trust-
17 games.
I think he gets
Zero.
by week 3. If you look at his career, every year, it's every other year he gets hurt. He's due.
I mean, there's
I don't wish that
zero.
on him, but he's due.
There's zero chance.
My
he's playing
point
all
is,
17.
is I trust Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and Matthew Stafford more than I do Sam Darnold, and that's just really plain and simple.
Well, I trust Mike McDonald.
I do. Listen, like I said, they're going to make the playoffs, but this is a really good division, and if I had to make a prediction, I think they're going to take a step back this year, especially offensively. And
I don't know. I don't know if I quintessentially trust Brock Purdy more than Sam Darnold.
I don't.
like I said, I
You trust
Kyle Shanahan.
Hey,
Yeah,
we get it. You love Kyle Shanahan. Pete loves Notre Dame. I'm the only one giving straight takes here without any bias in there.
Max Brosmer.
Well, no, I don't love Matt. Max Broser kept me up at night in my nightmares last year. He was so bad.
So let's get into the predictions a little bit. Tyler made his. He thinks they're going to finish third in the division behind the 49ers and the Rams. I think they're going to be still a 12 to 13 win team, just like I said, the Rams. I think the Rams are a smidge better. I like what they have going on offense, a smidge better. If the Rams stay healthy, I think the Rams win the division, as I said in the last segment. I think the Seahawks finish second. I think whichever team loses is the number one wild card in the NFC next year. And like Mike just said too, if they're hoisting the Lombardi at the end of the year, I'm not stunned. I'm not like, oh my goodness, the Seahawks are back to back. But I'm not predicting it. I don't think they will win the Super Bowl next year, but I certainly think they're capable of going on a deep run. They proved it last year. Not much has changed.
if Sam Darnold and Pat Mahomes are the two guys that go back to back at quarterback position, I think it's pretty crazy.
Darnold went higher in the draft than Patrick Mahomes. This is not some schmuck off the street. He was bad with the Jets. Everybody's bad with the Jets.
No, I know, but again, you saw what happened with the Vikings, 2 years ago in the playoffs.
They won 14 games.
But in the playoffs,
he just couldn't handle
exactly
being pressured.
And I know he did it last
physically
year.
Pressured. Seattle's offensive line is not Minnesota's.
Yeah.
They don't have 3 jamokes in the middle of it who can't spell their own names when they're trying to block guys. Also, I'd like to fact check the 49ers take here. Brock Purdy played 15 games 2 years ago, and they won 6. So it was not just quarterback injuries that have kept the 49ers out of the playoffs. Brock Purdy stunk. They won 6 games. They missed the playoffs.
Was that the 2023 season?
In 2024, they were the 29th ranked defense in the NFL.
Yeah, they had a million injuries that year too. So again, that goes back to the injury
They're
thing.
always
yeah.
injured.
I know. But I made the prediction though that they're going to be injured or healthy this year.
Yeah, you've said that you've made this prediction 8 times. We got it.
We got to remember that. A healthy 49ers
look
team.
At me when I tell you this. I'm looking right into the camera as I say this. There is no chance in hell that the San Francisco 49ers go through a season and do not get injured.
But if they do,
I want to say this too.
All right, let's make a bet right now. Here we go. We're going to do a first here on first and 15.
I'm ready.
Let's make a board bet here. We could just pick one guy, Christian McCaffrey. What Pete? Give us an over/under on how many games Christian McCaffrey plays next year.
God, this is a tough line to set.
He played 17 last
go right
year.
down the middle. We'll go 18.5. Or not 8.
Well, I was going to say I'm not taking the over on that one.
I'm way under on that.
8.5. I'm saying put it right at half the season.
Over.
I'll take the under.
Okay, I like the under too on that. I think he plays.
All right,
$20.
Yep, put it.
All right, it's on
The first bet in the history of this program.
Wow, you can see the handshake live on air. So I just wanted to put my point in there too. That I don't even like the 49ers more than the Seahawks, even if they didn't get injured. Like even if they're healthy,
their roster's worse.
I like the Seahawks more regardless.
It's not a good. The 49ers roster is fine.
The 49ers offensive roster is better than the Seahawks offensive roster.
That's absolutely ridiculous on so many levels.
Their offensive line is not better, but
let's talk about this. Their offensive line's not better.
Let's go position by position.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
I'll take Sam
49ers.
Darnold.
I think it's a wash.
49ers.
You're taking Kyle Shanahan. You're not taking Brock Purdy.
49ers.
You're not taking. Take them out of their situation.
49ers.
Just the quarterback. Just
49ers.
the player.
49ers.
Running back, if Christian McCaffrey's saying
49ers.
San Francisco. But the room in Seattle is better.
Wide receiver.
49ers.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. Jackson Smith and Jigba by himself beats the
I think
49ers.
Seattle pretty easily.
Again, Pete, I know Pete's not high in Cooper Kupp. I know for a fact.
You don't need to be high on Cooper Kupp.
Okay, that's
Who cares?
Name the fourth wide receiver in the room right now for the
Torrey
Seahawks.
Horton.
I know he couldn't.
Torrey Horton.
Okay, so you take.
Guess what? Torrey Horton's. I would take Torrey Horton over Christian Kirk, who's
nope.
San Fran's number 3.
I will take Christian Kirk over
I'll
Torrey
take Torrey Horton every day of the week and 3 times on Sunday.
And I will take Ricky Pearsall over Rashid Shaheed.
That's
10 out of
fine.
10 times.
I'll take JSN over everybody. I'll take Ricky Pearsall over Rashid Shaheed.
JSN,
I would take Cooper Kupp, Torrey Horton. Who is the guy they took in the 6th round? I'd take all of them over whoever San Francisco's got left. Yeah, they're all better than San Francisco's guys.
All right.
So keep going. Offensive line is definitely Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. I'm not arguing that one.
And at tight end is basically a wash.
Yeah.
Well, George, I'd even be willing to give that to the 49ers because George Kittle.
Yes. I mean, I was about to say, like, if you're going to take JSN over everybody in the 49ers room, George Kittle over everybody in the Seahawks.
All right,
I know. That
week 1, it's Seattle.
Yeah.
Jake Tongas against A.J. Barner. I'll take A.J. Barner.
And now defense, I'm not arguing it.
By the way, I think I'd take Jake Bobo over Christian Kirk.
Defense, I'm not arguing it. It's obviously Seattle, but it's not like it's like drastically worse. Like
where do you get off taking Christian
Fred
Kirk?
Warner Warner might be.
Can I ask that?
Fred Warner definitely is the best linebacker in football.
I want to go back to Christian Kirk. Where does this Christian?
I mean,
Kirk
it's like Torrey Hunter. Like who?
Well, Torrey Hunter played baseball, but Torrey Horton had 5 touchdowns receiving last year.
I mean, Torrey Horton, whatever.
Kirk would be lucky if he caught 5 passes last year.
I loved putting Torrey Horton in my touchdown parlays last year.
He was awesome.
He really would just score like.
I mean, we're arguing like apples to oranges with Torrey Horton.
Christian Kirk is a bum. He's been a bum for multiple years.
And again,
we obviously gave the 49ers the running back, which is fair because Christian McCaffrey, but the depth.
But the room is way better.
Yes.
If Christian McCaffrey misses a game, they have no running game. They're not going to be able to run the ball.
Again,
Kalen Black?
I trust Kyle Shanahan to figure out any scenario that this offense presents
itself. I think Kyle
itself.
Shanahan's wildly overrated as a coach.
We've established this, Mike. What's your prediction for the Seahawks this year?
2nd in the division. They're definitely winning double-digit games. They're absolutely in the playoffs. Chance to win the Super Bowl. I'm not picking them, but a great opportunity to win the Super Bowl and definitely better than the San Francisco 49ers.
All right. Well, we could argue this in a circle for a half hour.
No, I mean, there was not much more to argue. Like,
I could keep going.
I think we've drained this horse of all
Kalen Black and the Niners.
But, so, that's the NFC West. Our predictions right there. What division do you guys want to do next week? Probably shoot an AFC one, right? Do you guys have an AFC division you'd prefer to do next week?
We might as
well do the West.
We might as well hit the AFC West. That's kind of a fun division.
That's a very fun division. Maybe I'll get our buddy KG on to talk about the Denver Broncos.
I have some hot takes out of the AFC West.
I'm excited to hear them. I have some too. And if anyone knows me, they know I'm not a huge Denver Bronco guy.
It's possible my Super Bowl winner comes out of the AFC West.
Oh.
How about that for a tease for next week?
It might really be the Raiders that Mike Rose has going.
How about that for a tease for next week? My Super Bowl winner, I'll say right now, is out of the AFC West.
That's interesting. Well, that'll do things here this week. Thank you for tuning in as always. If you haven't already, follow us on whatever application you're using to listen to this on. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. And, yeah, we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
About to get started. It's 1st and 15.